Behind every great man, Julian said, is a woman. Shopping. Gold cutlery clinked against porcelain as dessert plates vanished. Laughter swirled from the marble pillars down to the lacquered stage. Champagne effervescence mirrored the mood, sweet, fleeting, designed for display. Julian Carr, the man beside me, flashed his calibrated grin. It was the same one from our holiday card last year. The one that said, "We're thriving," even when we weren't speaking. He stood and made a show of adjusting his cufflinks. A few light chuckles rose in expectation. He held the mic like he owned it. He probably did. "Thank you all for being here," he began, voice smooth with Silicon Valley charisma. "It means the world to share this milestone with you and my incredible wife." My name was a punctuation mark. An ornament at the end of his sentence. He turned to me with a smirk. That knowing, smug smirk. I recognized it. It had once been charming, before it calcified into something sharp. "Behind every great man," Julian said, pausing for effect, "is a woman. Shopping." Pausing. Laughter. Loud. Layered. Bright with cruelty. The room cracked open with it. My name disappeared under the punchline. I didn't flinch. Not yet. Maya, seated near the back, raised her phone a little higher. Her gaze met mine for a fraction of a second. She didn't need to ask. She was already recording. Julian turned toward me, still smiling. Still convinced he was the star. "And now," he added with performative warmth, "a few words from my better half." The spotlight shifted. My cue. He held the mic out to me like a knight offering his sword to a queen. I rose slowly. The smile on my face stayed where I left it, just behind my teeth. One step. Then two. My heels didn't click against the floor. They cut it. My fingers brushed his as I took the microphone. Cold. Dry. Brief. 1,000 faces looked up at me, but it was his eyes I watched. He expected a witty return. A cute clapback. Something to reset the crowd into affection. Instead, I inhaled once through my nose and began. "Thank you," I said, voice smooth but cooled. "To the staff behind tonight's event. To the caterers. The assistants. The women backstage who hemmed the dresses. And the one who steamed mine." My voice held. It did not rise. "To the people who made this night happen while staying invisible, thank you. Your work speaks louder than most of the speeches I've heard tonight." Silence. Not a pin drop kind. The kind that arrives when a room forgets to exhale. I did not look at Julian. I did not need to. That's all. I stepped down. The mic did not wobble in my hand. It returned to his like an object passed, not offered. The applause, tentative, confused, followed half a second too late. The crowd was trying to decide what emotion was safe. I didn't wait for them to choose. Back at our table, I sipped what was left of my champagne. Julian hadn't moved. His face was still frozen in that practiced PR smirk. A flicker behind his eyes suggested he'd just realized something dangerous had begun. Maya texted me beneath the table. They caught it on 3 angles. "I'll clip it tonight," I replied with a period. Just a period. I could feel Julian's gaze scan my profile, searching for warmth or remorse. He would find neither. Because I had learned something long ago: when words failed and love unraveled. I learned to bleed in private, then sign in public. And tonight, the paper was already in motion. The zipper slid up the back of my dress with a quiet finality, like sealing a document. Or a confession. It was champagne silk. Custom. The same one Julian's assistant insisted I wear for cohesion with the sponsor colors. I hadn't asked what we were sponsoring. I stopped asking about his business when I realized I was part of the inventory. I checked my reflection. Not my face, my posture. My chin. The way my ring sat on my finger. Tonight, I wore it outward. Shiny side up. Roll intact. But underneath the bone-colored sheen of my gown, every layer was armor. The bedroom was silent except for the hum of the house's central air, programmed by Julian's phone to optimize the comfort of rooms he never entered. My phone buzzed. "Maya, you sure you want to do this?" I stared at the screen, thumbs hovering. Typed. Deleted. Typed again. "Me. I'm already zipped in." She sent back a single period. Downstairs, I heard the echo of a door closing and Julian's voice, confident, rehearsed, rounding a punchline to someone on the phone. No, she's still upstairs. Yeah, she'll look perfect. She always does. The living room lit up with his laughter. The sound of a man who believed the world still loved him. I opened the bottom drawer of the nightstand. Tucked behind a sleep mask and an unopened anniversary card sat the folder. Matte black, clipped shut, labeled in my handwriting. Prenup original plus certified copy. I pulled it out, laid it on the bed, and flipped to the marked page. Paragraph 4. Separate property remains separate. No commingling. My signature was neat. The date read the 14th of March 2012. The day before our wedding. 10 years. 10 years of dinners where I played the part. Of interviews where I smiled on cue. Of photo ops that used my face to warm his brand. 10 years of him not realizing. I kept my accounts. I paid my share. I repaired the roof last spring on my own card. And that mattered. I knew it the moment the contractor's assistant looked at me, surprised. You're paying? I thought it was in your husband's name. I had smiled then. Just like I would tonight. I flipped the prenup shut and slid it into my tote bag just behind the lip gloss and the Xanax I wouldn't need. Then I stood. Back straight. Shoulders open. I rehearse what I won't say. I whispered aloud. A ritual. The final look in the mirror wasn't about beauty. It was about control. The sound of my heels descending the staircase was met with Julian's voice rising in pitch. There she is. You clean up nice. He didn't kiss me. He didn't reach for my hand. He just nodded like a CEO checking off inventory. Cars outside. Let's show them how golden looks. I slid into the limo. Leather interior. Still smelled new. Julian opened a bottle of Prosecco from the console. One quick toast before the lights. To image. To influence. I clinked, drank, and stayed silent. You're not nervous, are you? He said, dabbing at a non-existent crumb on my lip. Just smile like you're still proud of me. I turned my head toward the window. Outside, Los Angeles blurred past steel, palm, and light. Inside, a war no one saw had already started. Julian adjusted my necklace with the precision of a stylist, not a husband. 2 fingers at the clasp. A quarter turn at the pendant. Let them see we're unbreakable, he murmured in my ear. Breath faintly minty from the branded gum he always chewed before cameras. Unbreakable. Not together. Not in love. Just unbreakable. I didn't nod. I smiled at the limo driver instead as he held the door open. Julian stepped in ahead of me, sliding into the leather seat like he owned the city. He did, in many ways. Or believed he did. I joined him wordlessly. The door shut. The city's noise disappeared behind insulation. He tapped on his phone with both thumbs. His fingers danced across spreadsheets, group chats, some new campaign he hadn't told me about. His body leaned slightly toward the glowing screen, drawn to it like light. We closed on that influencer podcast spot, he said suddenly, not looking up. You'll love the host. Ex-bachelorette. Huge reach. That's great, I said, tone neutral, lips tight. He didn't notice. I told them you'd do a segment. Maybe something about interior design, femininity in leadership, whatever keeps the demo soft but aspirational. Soft. You booked me without asking? He finally looked up, surprised. Then smiled. The kind of smile that's meant to end a disagreement before it starts. It's all optics, baby. You've got the face for it. Might as well leverage. I stared out the tinted window. Billboards, brake lights, neon. The city glowed around us like an open mouth. Julian kept going. Also, don't mention the house repairs. Sponsors hate liability talk. You mean the roof leak? I asked lightly. He winced. Almost imperceptibly. Yeah, that thing. He didn't know I'd paid for it. He didn't know my name was on the invoice, not his. He didn't know I'd filed it in a labeled folder next to the prenup. But I did. I watched him reach into the minibar and pour himself something expensive and golden. He offered it to me. I declined. Come on, he teased. Loosen up. We're winning. I didn't say what I was thinking. That the win he saw was actually the countdown ticking in reverse. That every nod I gave him now was less agreement, more documentation. I opened my clutch and quietly checked the prenup folder. It peeked out just enough matte black, subtle tab, legal weight. Julian didn't notice. He was too busy rehearsing his speech aloud. Grateful for our investors, our vision, our mission. Blah blah. Gratitude. Female empowerment. Got it. He looked at me, winked. I'll throw in something about you. They eat that up. I folded the folder deeper into my bag. Say what you want, I replied, coolly. They'll believe it. He took that as agreement. Of course he did. We arrived at the hotel entrance. A red carpet event, technically. Step and repeat banners lined the wall. Paparazzi lenses pulsed like veins. The valet opened Julian's door first. He stepped out into the flashes, already raising one hand in faux modesty. I followed seconds later. The noise doubled. I stood beside him, smiled on cue. Our shoulders touched but never leaned. Smile like you're still proud of me, he whispered through his teeth, his lips unmoving. I did smile. But not for him. For the camera. For the paper trail. For the moment I would rewind later and remember, not as affection but proof. We moved through the crowd like a weather system, loud, visible, hard to touch. Inside the ballroom, the air shifted. Colder. Controlled. Julian shook hands with men who built things. Apps, markets, crypto scams. Real estate dreams. I smiled at their wives and partners, who all wore the same shade of silence. At our assigned table, place cards gleamed. Mine read, Mrs. Kendra Carr in looping gold font. His name was printed in a sharper serif, Mr. Julian Carr, co-chair. I traced the edge of the card. Then turned it over. Blank. He leaned in close. Play along, and I'll make you head of branding again, he said. I mean it. I wasn't aware I stopped being head of branding. You drifted, he said casually, sipping his drink. Your vibe changed. People noticed. I folded my napkin slowly. Which people? Does it matter? He said, eyes scanning the room. Look, just be warm tonight. Be iconic. I'll do the rest. His voice filled space so mine couldn't. That was always the trick. He would fill a room with his charm and anecdotes until no one remembered what I sounded like. A string quartet began tuning near the stage. The MC walked past us, gave Julian a warm pat on the shoulder. You're next up, he said. Your wife's stunning tonight. That's has to. She's always been my best asset, Julian replied without flinching. They both laughed. I didn't. The mic was being tested. The stage lights flickered into position. Julian stood, smoothed his jacket, downed the last of his drink. He turned to me. You're not going to blindside me tonight, right? Not tonight, I said. He smiled, unaware of the precision behind my words. He walked toward the stage. I checked my bag one last time. Folder. Phone. Lip gloss. Calm. Behind me, someone touched my shoulder. Maya. You good? Perfect, I replied. You brought it? Always. She smiled, not warm, not proud. Just ready. So was I. The ballroom was cathedral-sized, built for vanity. Glass chandeliers hung like frozen applause above a crowd dressed in wealth and filtered light. Each table gleamed with name-brand centerpieces and center-stage ambitions. Julian thrived in this kind of room, the kind that blurred charm and control until no one knew which they were applauding. He walked ahead of me like the president of a country no one voted for. Photographers flanked both sides of the velvet aisle. Their lenses clicked with that brittle speed only attention can demand. Julian. Over here. Big smile. One with the wife. I leaned in like a pro. One shoulder dipped toward his. Our cheeks met air, not skin. His hand rested at the small of my back, light, possessive. 3 seconds, he muttered. Then we move. We did. Inside, the gala was heat and gloss and champagne breath. The kind of curated crowd that claps before they've heard anything. I scanned the perimeter. Maya hadn't arrived yet. Julian found our table center, closest to the stage. Of course. He began his rounds, glad-handing venture capitalists and podcast darlings, collecting grins like business cards. He laughed too loud at the right times. Touched shoulders when needed. I sat. My name card again read Mrs. Kendra Carr, like a brand extension, not a person. I checked my phone. Nothing yet. Then, a tap on my shoulder. Maya. Hair down. Simple black dress. Phone already in hand. She kissed my cheek longer than necessary and whispered against my ear. I'm recording everything. Front-facing. Backup mic clipped. I didn't nod. I didn't smile. I simply exhaled. Julian returned with 2 flutes of champagne. He handed one to me and leaned in. Still holding it together? Better than our roof. He paused, then gave a strained chuckle. You're hilarious. I took a sip and let the bubbles rise and die behind my teeth. He gestured toward the stage, where the MC had just stepped forward, mic in hand. Showtime, he whispered. The lights shifted. Center spot ignited. The MC, some D-list lifestyle influencer with a signature laugh, greeted the crowd with fake warmth. Welcome to the 12th Annual VisionWorks Gala. We're here to celebrate innovation, courage, and the power of personal branding. Scattered applause. Please join me in welcoming tonight's co-chair. Investor, entrepreneur, and disruptor. Julian Carr. Thunder. The kind that only money and relevance can summon in a room like this. Julian kissed my hand like he invented love, stood, straightened his jacket, and walked to the mic as if it belonged to him by birthright. The applause surged. Flashbulbs burst. A ripple of social media notifications lit screens like fireflies. Maya moved discreetly, standing just left of the table's centerpiece, phone angled perfectly. Here we go, she murmured. Clean line of audio. Do not flinch. The C's Cantrian Sile Talsave. They haven't making Bakeson's formation. Julian took the stage with ease, turning his body slightly toward the cameras open. Modest, leader-coded. Thank you. It's an honor to stand before you tonight. This room, this city, none of it would be possible without vision, hard work, and people who believe in you even when it's hard to believe in yourself. Applause. And of course, behind every powerful brand is the PR team cleaning up your mess. Laughter. Light. Safe. He looked toward me, then held the pause. And behind every great man is a woman. Pause. Shopping. The crowd erupted. Louder this time. Real belly laughs. Some people turned toward me, expecting a wink, a laugh, some kind of permission. I gave none. My lips curved gently. Eyes dead calm. I didn't even look at him. Maya whispered. Got it. Every angle. God. He really went there. Julian smiled on stage like he'd just cured a disease with charisma. It continued. Seriously though, I owe so much to my wife Kendra. She's elegant, stylish, and has this unbelievable way of making me look even better. Another light laugh. Another photo snapped. I could feel the spotlight drifting toward me. I let it wash past. He gestured back toward our table, toward me. And now, a few words from my better half. The spotlight clicked. Silence retracted across the ballroom like breath sucked back into a mouth. He extended the mic. Smiling. Confident. Expectant. A perfect image. Husband lifting up wife. Power shared. Marriage lit in gold. The same performance every year. But this time, it was different. I rose. Every muscle moved deliberately. My dress caught the light like water over armor. He passed me the mic. Our fingers brushed his, clammy with sweat he didn't realize he'd started to feel. I stepped forward. The audience waited. I glanced once at Maya. Phone steady. Recording. Then I turned back toward the crowd and let the cold settle in my voice like winter inside a glass. Thank you, I said, crisp and level. To the staff. The ones behind the scenes. The women who sew, clean, deliver. The ones who do their work without hashtags or headlines. The room was still. To the assistants who fixed the lighting. The coordinator who covered a last-minute cancellation. And to the girl who steamed my dress. I see you. A pause. Not dramatic, controlled. Your work speaks louder than most of the speeches I've heard tonight. That was all. I handed the mic back to Julian. Didn't look at him. Didn't wait for a cue. I returned to the table. Sat down. Sipped the champagne like it hadn't gone flat. The applause came a beat too late, clipped, unsure. Like the audience didn't know whether it was part of the script or the start of something dangerous. Julian returned to his seat without speaking. His face still fixed in a PR smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Maya leaned in. Every word was clean. Got it all. That's your reel. I looked at her. Send me the raw file tonight. Already uploading. In the corner of the ballroom, a photographer snapped one more candid me. Sitting alone, glass in hand, eyes on no one. That image would be posted tomorrow. And it would be the first clue that something had changed. The sound of applause faded behind me like a dying engine. The ballroom resumed its rhythm, cutlery resumed clinking, servers resumed pouring, and laughter, thinner now, trickled around the edges of the room like it had somewhere better to be. I sat down slowly. My place card had tipped sideways. I didn't fix it. Julian remained standing just a moment too long, the mic still in his hand, smile dimming. Then he gave a brief nod, turned back to the crowd, and mumbled something vaguely gracious. "Let's hear it for the real MVP, my wife." Token claps. Like a seatbelt clicked after the crash. He returned to the table with the practiced grin of someone who's been through PR crises and believes charm is a shield. "You really flipped that, babe," he said as he sat. "Unexpected. Strong move." I took another sip of champagne. My lipstick left no mark. I had stopped staining things a long time ago. He leaned in, voice lowered. "Though maybe next time a little more. Gratitude. I mean, I set you up perfectly. Gwinging it's my grace. Fourth five. Gwing. I turned my head slowly to look at him. For what? A punchline? His eyes flickered genuine confusion for a half second, then a twitch of annoyance, then the smile again. It was a joke. So was the speech. His jaw clenched, but he laughed like it hadn't. "Relax. You nailed it. You've got that whole quiet power vibe. People love that right now." I looked past him. Across the room, a socialite in diamonds was laughing too loudly at something she clearly didn't find funny. My phone buzzed. "Maya. Upload complete. 3 camera angles. Synced audio. Dropbox link sent." I locked my phone without replying. The MC resumed the evening. Awards. Donors. Videos with inspirational music and staged crying. None of it mattered now. Not compared to what had just happened. Julian had humiliated me in a room full of donors, influencers and industry elites. And worse. He thought I'd forget. Worse still. He thought I hadn't noticed. I watched him talk to the couple next to us, animated, hands slicing the air. As if nothing had cracked. But I saw it. The shift in how they looked at him, too polite, too careful. The way they didn't quite laugh this time when he made a joke. The way one of them glanced at me as if measuring my silence. They didn't know yet. But they sensed it. Julian Carr, the king of curated masculinity, had just misread the room. And I had just rewritten the script. As dessert arrived, Julian leaned toward me again. "What was that line you said? About the women backstage?" That landed. "And did it?" "Yeah. Just, next time, a little warmth. People need to know we're solid. We? Brand-wise." That word again. Brand. My marriage wasn't a vow. It was a pitch deck. I dabbed the corner of my mouth with the napkin, folded it neatly, and set it down. "I need some air." He reached for my wrist gently. "You okay?" I looked at his hand before looking at him. He let go. Outside on the terrace, L.A. Smog blurred the skyline like a smudged painting. I exhaled for the first time in an hour. Behind me, the ballroom carried on, as if the earth hadn't shifted. Maya appeared beside me a minute later, silent. She didn't speak. Didn't hug. Didn't ask. She handed me a square USB stick. Mirror backup, no metadata. Clean pull. I took it. No thanks. No words. We didn't need them. Back in the limo, Julian slid in beside me with a sigh of satisfaction. Another flawless night. "You see how the VP's wife hugged me? We've got them in the bag." He poured 2 drinks from the console. Offered me one. I didn't reach for it. "Babe? I'll pass." He shrugged and clinked his glass against mine anyway. "To us." He drank. I stared out the window. City lights whipped by like falling stars. My reflection in the glass looked exactly the way he wanted it to. Beautiful, composed, silent. But underneath? A ledger was opening. And every insult had been assigned a $sign. When we pulled into the driveway, the motion lights blinked awake. The house looked sterile from the outside, polished but empty. A showroom with no story. Julian unlocked the door, still humming to himself. Inside, he slipped off his shoes and tossed his tuxedo jacket on the banister like a man who didn't believe anything delicate could ever break. Kitchen or bedroom? He asked. Neither. He stopped, smirked. You're mad. You're doing the slow burn thing. I stepped past him and headed upstairs. Babe. Good night, Julian. I didn't slam the door. I didn't cry. I sat on the edge of the bed and pulled the prenup folder from my bag. Flipped to the clause. Paraquatre B. Separate property remains separate. No commingling credits. I reached into the nightstand and pulled out the invoice. Invoice number A. 917 emergency roof repair $3,480 paid via personal account K. Royce. Date. The 4th of March 2019. 3 years after the wedding. 4 years before today. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a receipt. A boundary. A wedge. A weapon. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I submitted. My phone buzzed again. Nathan, attorney. You still want to proceed? I typed back. Yes. Quietly. Then I turned off the lights. Slipped into bed beside Julian. Closed my eyes. His breathing slowed before mine. He slept easily. Because he still believed this was his house. Julian was already in the kitchen by the time I came downstairs. Shirt half-buttoned, tie draped loose around his neck. He looked like a lifestyle ad for casual wealth, carefully undone, but never disassembled. He held out a smoothie he didn't make. Blue spirulina. Your favorite. Recovery day, right? I took it, nodded, didn't drink. He kissed my cheek and grinned like last night never happened. Did you see the Instagram tags? They're calling you mysterious. It's trending. It's little May became Plas. What's trending? You. Us. The speech. That pause you gave, brilliant. People are obsessed. I smiled softly. The kind of smile that ends conversations, not invites them. Glad you approve. He turned back to his phone, thumbs moving fast. His version of affection was making sure my face was aligned with the algorithm. He didn't ask how I felt. He never did. Because he didn't notice when I stopped giving honest answers. Upstairs, I closed the bedroom door and pulled the prenup folder from the locked drawer. The paper had weight. Cold, archival texture. Not emotional. Not rhetorical. Legal. I laid it on the bed. Flipped to the dog-eared page. Section 4. B. Separate property remains separate. No commingling of funds. No shared claim on independent assets. Signed, Julian Carr, Kendra Royce. Dated, March 14, 2012. I read it twice. Not because I didn't remember. Because I needed to feel it again. Feel the logic in my hands. The clarity of ink over begging. The dignity of distance. I slid my laptop open and pulled up the bank statements. There it was, the 4th of March 2019. Transaction, $3,480. Roof repair, emergency leak, kitchen ceiling. Vendor R&F Contracting. Payment source, K. Royce personal account. That mattered. More than therapy. More than apologies. Because it wasn't shared. It was mine. And now, the house was a line item in a contract. Not a home. I called Nathan. He picked up on the second ring. Kendra. The clause holds. It does. Still enforceable. You never merged accounts. Never. And the repair? You have proof. Invoice. Timestamp. Bank record. My name only. There was a pause. Legal pauses are different from emotional ones. They carry weight. Then the property can revert, he said. We'll file under financial misallocation. The prenup protects your assets. The house, the company shares, anything bought or maintained with your funds stays yours. Even if we live in it. Especially if he didn't contribute to it. Another pause. You want to proceed? I closed the laptop. The silence in the room was crisp. Quietly. Understood. I'll draft the motion. You'll need to sign Exhibit A. I'll stop by tomorrow. Kendra. Yes? You waited this long. Just be sure. I smiled. Not from doubt. From certainty. I'm not angry, Nathan. I'm done. Downstairs, Julian was filming an Instagram story. Filtered. Branded. Polished. Just want to shout out my incredible wife for standing by me again last night. Real ones know. I watched him frame me in the background. A soft blur of elegance. He didn't realize I wasn't a supporting character anymore. I left the room without being seen. Drove across town. Office Park. Suite 204. Nathan's firm. Discreet, elite, under the radar. He was waiting in a glass-paneled room, document in hand. We're calling it a petition for asset protection under prenup enforcement, he explained. If he contests, we can pull financials. But odds are he won't even notice until it's filed. I scanned the motion. Exhibit A, prenup. Exhibit B, invoice, Enouf sent Decept. I signed. When will it be processed? Tomorrow. Served at his office. Not home. Home is too emotional. I handed the folder back. Not anymore. Which is not with so framed for the saying. Driving home, I felt it for the first time. Not relief. Not satisfaction. Control. The kind that didn't come from winning an argument. It came from having already built the trap, and knowing exactly when to trigger it. Julian was in the living room when I returned, reviewing footage of himself from the gala. They edited the mic handoff perfectly, he said. Looks like we planned it. We didn't. Exactly. That's the beauty. He looked up, scanned my expression. You okay? Fine. You sure? I've got a gift card for that spa you like. You need a decompress day. You remembered? Of course. I'm not a monster. No. Just a mirror. I accepted the gift card with a soft thank you, tucked it into the drawer with the prenup copy, and turned off the hallway light. That night, I slept in the center of the bed. Julian had a meeting early. Left before dawn. I lay still. Eyes open. Not worried. Not racing. Just finished. The next morning, Nathan texted. Filed. Served. Quiet success. You now hold controlling ownership of the Penthouse, all non-commingled assets, and 34% of his business shares. Clause executed. No challenge filed. It begins. I say nothing. He hears applause. Julian's newest podcast appearance dropped at 8 a.m. sharp. By 8:07, it had already been reposted across every channel he managed. Twitter, LinkedIn, IG Reels, YouTube Shorts. Captioned, clipped, hashtagged, like a digital standing ovation. I played the full interview through wireless headphones while I dressed. He spoke in confident bursts, the host laughing on cue. His voice filled the bathroom while I applied mascara. My wife is the real backbone of my brand. She grounds me. Mascara wand paused mid-blink. She's elegant, mysterious, and strategic. She taught me that silence can be powerful. That one made the host gasp. Wow. She sounds iconic. She is, he said. I call her my silent killer. They both laughed. I pressed play again just to hear it twice. My silent killer. Downstairs, the blender roared. By the time I reached the kitchen, Julian had already made smoothies, plated granola, and was setting out vitamins in a neat row. Aesthetic wellness, curated chaos. Morning, Angel. Heard the episode? I did. Nailed it, right? You sound like a goddess. I sat. Nodded. He slid the glass toward me. Your silence is your superpower. And the prostin use off to bring by grace. So I've heard. He didn't catch the edge in my voice. He was too busy captioning it. That afternoon, he posted a photo from the gala. Me at the table, mic in hand, his gaze turned toward me as if in awe. The caption. Behind every brand is the brilliance you don't see. I'm lucky mine is in heels. Number power couple. Number built not borrowed. Comments flooded in. Iconic. She's giving CEO wife vibes. Let her speak more. Y'all are the blueprint. This is what success looks like. His fine of reach and time. He replied to everyone with heart emojis and fire symbols. Meanwhile, I sat 2 rooms away with a notarized ownership transfer, a lawyer on standby, and a Dropbox link to 3 perfectly edited angles of the gala mic moment. That evening we hosted a dinner. Just a few people, his people. A venture capitalist from San Jose, his lifestyle coach, 2 women who ran a branding agency that specialized in emotional monetization. Julian made the risotto. I plated it. This saffron's imported, he told them. Kendra insists. They all nodded like I was a concept, not a person. She's brilliant, he added mid-toast. Refined, calculated in the best way. I couldn't build what I've built without her. He raised his glass. To the reason I win. They clapped. I smiled. Took a sip. Never blinked. I say nothing. He hears applause. Later, as the guests filed out and the dishwasher hummed, Julian turned to me, eyes soft from wine and public affection. I meant it, you know. Which part? All of it. You say a lot. He laughed. That's fair. But really thank you for being steady. For not cracking when I get loud. I dried a wine glass slowly. You're welcome. Some women would have made that gala moment about themselves. But I didn't. Exactly. That's why I trust you. That word. Trust. It landed like a joke with no laugh. He kissed my shoulder and disappeared upstairs. I stayed behind, let the kitchen cool, then opened the drawer and took out the signed asset transfer again. Read it one last time. Transfer of legal control. Property title plus company shares. Non-contested. Effective. Upon service of notice of activation. Signed, Julian Carr. Filed. Pending private delivery. He had already signed it 3 years ago, tucked into the automated paperwork during a funding round he never read. At the time, he didn't think I'd keep it. But I did. Because I always do. I emailed Nathan the go-ahead. Subject. Activate discreet delivery. Attachment. Dropbox clip. 001. Gala mic moment. MP4. Note. Use this only if he resists. The next morning, I served him breakfast in bed. French press, eggs folded just right, avocado fanned like he preferred. He kissed me with soft appreciation. What did I do to deserve this? You believed in me. He smiled. Didn't know what I meant. Didn't ask. At 10:01 a.m. While he was in a Zoom call discussing Series B funding, Nathan's assistant arrived at Carr Studios' front desk with a manila envelope. Stamped. Private. Legal delivery signature required. Julian wouldn't read it until 2:17 p.m. At 2:22 he would send me a text. Did you know about this? I didn't reply. At 3:11 he sent a second. This is a mistake. I didn't authorize. And at 3:13, Maya posted the uncut version of the gala moment to TikTok. Captioned. He made her the joke. She made herself the owner. She made herself the owner. Mic drop. Prena power. Quiet wife loud moves. It was already at 84,000 views by the time I opened my bottle of wine. I say nothing. He hears applause. He speaks to the crowd. I speak to the court. Julian was live on IG when the email landed. He was mid-thought, sunglasses on, shirt unbuttoned to his sternum, giving advice to 13,000 followers about emotional equity in marriage. A real partner brings value, not volume, he said, teeth shining. That's why I've always said Kendra's my quiet cornerstone. Never demanding, never distracting. That's power. A heart emoji floated across the screen. Then another. Then 73 more. His feed was on fire. He basked. Until his phone buzzed just once and his eyes flicked to the notification. He froze. The smile didn't fade, it stalled. That one buzz had been set up to alert him to one thing only. A file tagged with evidence. I wasn't watching. I was downtown. In Nathan's office, sitting across from our paralegal who was prepping the final handoff for the ownership reclassification. On the screen. Exhibit C, repair invoice T917. Date. The 4th of March 2019. Amount. $3,480. Paid by Kendra Royce, personal account. Memo. Emergency roof repair, penthouse, kitchen leak. Nathan turned his laptop toward me. The judge flagged it immediately. That clause you invoked, section 4b. Slam dunk. Julian hasn't responded yet. He will. He's still in public denial mode. But he knows. And the house? Yours. Today. That morning, I had walked out of the penthouse before Julian woke up. I left him almond milk and a note about the dog groomer. He wouldn't understand. The note wasn't for him, it was for my future deposition, proof I had managed the home solo. Back in the courtroom filing system, my name now appeared. Primary owner of title. Royce, Kendra A. Filed. L.A. County Recorder's Office. Supporting documentation. Invoice number. A 917 authenticated. Enforcement mechanism. Prenup clause paragraph avir. It didn't blink. It didn't gloat. The system just absorbed the truth. Meanwhile, Maya was orchestrating the second wave of exposure. On Twitter, she posted a thread. So, let's talk about how a husband joked that his wife's job was shopping, and how that wife now owns his company's legal foundation. This is Reaction from Heaven 18. Slide 1. Gala clip. Uncut. Slide 2. Screenshot of prenup clause section 4. B. Slide 3. Invoice. Anne of Saint Decept. Circled. Slide 4. TikTok sound. He made her the joke. She made herself the owner. It exploded. Again. This time, not just likes. Articles. Podcasts. Financial forums dissecting the prenup language. Women across the country were quoting the clause like gospel. Separate property remains separate. No commingling of funds. It wasn't just a legal protection now. It was a movement. Julian texted at 4:43 p.m. We need to talk. I didn't reply. At 5:15. This invoice thing is out of context. Can we meet tonight? At 6:02. You can't just take the company. At 6:44. Kendra. This isn't us. I was still in Nathan's office, reviewing the next filing. Once we finalize the transfer of those 34% shares, he explained, you'll be his largest individual stakeholder. Which means you can vote on operations. You can call an emergency review. And you can dissolve the board if it becomes hostile. Does he know that? Nathan smiled like a man who's seen this movie before. He does now. At 7:05 p.m., Maya sent me a voice memo. His assistant just quit. She shared a screen recording. Julian searched the invoice 6 times in his Dropbox. He deleted it once. Re-uploaded it twice. He's panicking. We'll hold the footage unless he retaliates. But we're ready. I saved the memo. Filed it under a folder labeled Proof of Behavior, Post-Activation. At home, the lights were off when I arrived. Julian was in the kitchen, face buried in his phone, shoulders rigid. He looked up like a child caught near an open flame. They're making memes of me. I set my bag down. I saw. You posted it. Maya did. You gave her the clip. Yes. He walked toward me. Slowly. Unsteady. You want to ruin me? No, I said. I want what's mine. You're being cold. No. I'm being clear. Kendra. This isn't revenge, Julian. It's a receipt. I opened the drawer. Pulled out the original invoice. Laid it flat between us on the counter. You see that signature? It's yours. That's ownership. He stared at it like it was a betrayal. But it wasn't. It was an invoice. He joked about me shopping. I bought the house. For the first time in weeks, I didn't wake to Julian's voice. No podcast audio. No interview replays echoing through the bathroom. Just silence. Not heavy. Not cruel. Just undisturbed. He sat on the edge of the couch, elbows on knees, eyes staring into something not in the room. Still in yesterday's clothes. Tie askew. Shirt wrinkled. The TV was off. His phone was beside him. Screen cracked. Face down. He didn't notice me enter. Julian? His eyes lifted. Not defensive. Not smug. Just lost. They pulled my speaking slot, he said. What? Tech Brand Expo. I was headlining. They pulled it. Said something about brand coherence. He smiled. Small. Self-mocking. I guess joking about your wife while she executes a hostile prenup clause doesn't test well with female founders. I didn't say anything. They said it's not cancel culture. It's market sentiment. He reached for the remote. Turned the TV on. The screen glowed bright. A panel discussion was playing. 3 women. 1 male moderator. On the side, a still from the gala. Me holding the mic. Julian, blurred in the background, mid-laugh. What we saw here, the panelists said, was the illusion of power failing in real time. And the quiet reclamation of space by a woman who never needed to raise her voice. Julian stared at it. Then turned the volume down. Do you hate me? He asked suddenly. No. Are you going to divorce me? I haven't decided. That surprised him. Not the threat he expected drama. But the absence of it. That rattled him. We can fix this. The narrative, I mean. I've already drafted a joint post. Something about evolving in partnership. There won't be a joint post. Kendra, come on. We're a brand. I sat across from him. You had 10 years to build us. You chose to build yourself. He went quiet. Then. Why didn't you tell me you were angry? Because I wasn't. Pause. You're not angry now. No. Then why all this? Because I remembered what I paid for. That landed. Not loud. Just final. Later that day, I stood in the Penthouse office, my office now. The skyline framed me. The rug beneath my heels had once been picked by Julian's decorator. She'd called it power textured. Fitting. On the desk. My copy of the prenup. Invoice A9 cent Decept. Stock reclassification letter. A press release drafted by Nathan's team. I read it aloud. Measured. Simple. Effective immediately. Royce Holdings assumes controlling interest in Car Studio following a financial clarification of ownership and asset separation. That same evening, Julian's company bio was updated. The tagline under his name used to read, Founder, Strategist, Visionary. Now it read, Co-founder, Brand Partner, Board Member. At 8:17 p.m., a notification hit every subscriber inbox. Breaking news. Car Studio restructures. Leadership. Kendra Royce named chair. He didn't text. He didn't call. He finally understood. The silence wasn't punishment. It was permission expiring. I stepped onto the balcony with a glass of wine, phone in hand. Maya texted me just one line. He's learning what silence sounds like when it echoes. I replied, he'll hear it for a while. There's no one left to explain it to. Not the board. Not the staff. Not the comments section. I scroll through her posts like a stranger. I replay the moment where I thought I was charming and realize she wasn't amused. She was archiving. Preparing. I thought silence meant comfort. It didn't. It meant she no longer saw a point in trying to be heard. I heard laughter. I didn't hear her leaving. The press event wasn't splashy. No red carpet. No flashbulbs. No influencers. Just a single podium, a company backdrop, and a room full of stiff-backed executives waiting to understand how the ground had shifted. Car Studio was rebranding. And I was the reason. Julian stood off to the side, dressed in navy and silence. His hands were folded, his face practiced. But no one was looking at him. They were looking at me. Nathan stood behind the curtain. Maya sat in the front row with a phone not filming, just present. It was time. The MC stepped forward. Please welcome to the stage the new chair of Car Studio, Kendra Royce. Polite applause. Then, quiet. The kind that said, we're listening now. I didn't smile. Didn't scan for cameras. Didn't open with a joke. Thank you. I won't speak long. Pause. Let it land. I've spent the last decade being introduced as someone's wife. The woman behind the man. The whisper behind the speech. The footnote under the brand. A few nods. No claps yet. But brands don't thrive in echo chambers. And businesses don't grow on charisma alone. Now, some leaned forward. They grow when someone is watching the roof rot and paying to fix it. A beat. Someone like me. One soft clap. Then others followed. So let's correct the record. I didn't take anything. I reclaimed what I protected. I held their eyes. Ownership isn't granted. It's proven. In the back row, Julian's face was unreadable. But his posture had changed. No longer squared. Slightly slouched. The man who once owned the room now occupied a corner of it. I finished the speech. Short. Precise. Legal in tone. A final sentence that was both branding and boundary. This company is no longer run on noise. It is led by decisions. That was it. I stepped off the stage. No tears. No wave. The applause came, yes. But the real echo was digital. Trent minutes later. Twitter via Car Studio. Effective immediately, Kendra Royce has assumed chair of Car Studio. Her leadership will focus on precision, equity, and execution. The quote from the speech. Ownership isn't granted. It's proven. An hour later, Fast Company posted a story. How a silent wife became the loudest power in the room. The subhead? She didn't yell. She documented. Julian didn't go home that night. Not to the penthouse. Not to the studio. He posted a black square on Instagram with the caption, "It's complicated." No comments. Meanwhile, I returned to my office. The nameplate had been changed. Kendra Royce, chairwoman and majority shareholder. It gleamed. Underneath it, a note from Maya in looping script. "You didn't raise your voice. You raised the bar." I sat behind the desk and opened the drawer. There it was. Invoice à 917, folded neatly behind the prenup copy, now sealed with a notarized stamp. Artifacts now. But I kept them. Because I wanted to remember. He tried to turn me into a moment. I turned it into an empire. "Julian. Internal." She said less in 10 minutes than I've said in 10 years. And every word undid me. She didn't steal the spotlight. She cut the power to mine. That night, Maya posted a quote card. "Ownership isn't granted. It's proven." Kendra Royce, chair, car studio. Number power in silence, number she owns it. And in the comments, "This is the real boss era." I'm printing that prenup clause for my fridge. She didn't burn it down. She bought the building. Bycad it from Stater. Julian who? In the next morning's inbox. An interview request from Forbes Women. A licensing offer for invoice number A917 framed as art. A legal podcast asking to break down the prenup clause on air. All of them wanted one thing. Not the scandal. The strategy. He used my name in speeches. I used his jokes as evidence. The boardroom was air-conditioned like a vault. Quiet. Echo-proof. Clinical. 10 chairs, 9 filled. 1 empty mine. Until I walked in. Black blazer. No jewelry. Flat shoes. No symbolism. I didn't bring Nathan. Didn't need him. I brought the silence. And silence brought the control. Julian was already there. He looked like he thought this was a negotiation. He wore the tie he used for investor meetings, navy with white dots. His laptop open, already mid-slide. He smiled when I entered. "Let's be adults," he said. "Let's recenter." I sat, did not answer. The COO began. "Before we begin, let's acknowledge the leadership change. Effective immediately, Kendra Royce is now chair and controlling shareholder." Light applause from the others. Julian clapped once. Then stopped. He looked at me. "Kendra, I think we can align on messaging. 2 voices, 1 story. You control ops. I maintain public voice. You're the root. I'm the reach." I let the silence stretch. Then opened the folder. "This is the agenda." Slide across. Click. Item 1. Restructuring of brand messaging and executive titles. Julian frowned. "Wait, brand partner? What does that mean?" I spoke for the first time. "It means you'll no longer serve as public-facing CEO. I founded this. I preserved it." He laughed. Nervous. "Kendra, the public sees me. The media knows my face. They've just been introduced to mine." The board voted. 7-1. 1 abstained. Julian. His fingers twitched near his laptop, like he wanted to click something that could rewind this. "We built this together. Then you should have paid your half of the roof." The COO moved to the next item. Item 2. Operational freeze on all personal discretionary funds. Julian looked directly at me now. "What are you doing?" I spoke calmly. "You bought a sports car last month with company money. It was for content. Then post the invoice." He opened his mouth. Closed it. I let the air settle. "The freeze holds." Board majority affirmed. After the meeting, he followed me down the hallway. No cameras. No audience. Just us. "You could have burned me," he said. "I didn't. You could have made a scene." I made a case. He stepped in front of me. "What do you want me to say?" I paused. "Nothing." "Nothing?" "That's what you used to say when I asked for help. When the ceiling leaked. When the mortgage payment crossed into my account. You said nothing. Was es no haven detailsen refation." He exhaled slowly. "I thought we were building a brand. You were building a mirror." I stepped past him. He didn't follow. That night, I met Maya for drinks. She was already at the rooftop bar, legs crossed, tablet open. The city behind her sparkled like an expensive lie. "It's done," I said. "He gone?" Silenced. "On paper, at least." Did he flinch? No. Did you? I thought about it. Once. When I saw him still expecting applause. We clinked glasses. To what? She asked. To not needing a signature to kill something. She didn't yell. She didn't break a thing. She removed my name from the title and watched me feel it. She never needed revenge. She had documentation. Maya posted that night. She didn't torch him. She filed. Number signature kill. Number the invoice era. Number silent CEO. By morning, women were posting videos with muted audio just holding up invoices, prenups, or screen grabs from financial spreadsheets. They weren't crying. They weren't ranting. They were signing. He used charisma as leverage. I used compliance. I left the office early that evening. Not out of exhaustion. Just done. The kind of done that doesn't slam doors, doesn't scream, doesn't look back to check if he's watching. Outside, the city buzzed like it always does when something important ends. Or begins. I wore flats again. No symbolism still. Just comfort. In my bag. A bound copy of the prenup, final court stamp embossed. A thank you note, unsigned. Keys to the penthouse already replaced with digital access under my name only. Julian was already there when I arrived. He stood in the center of the living room, facing the skyline. The way people do in movies when they've lost something they thought was permanent. But this wasn't a movie. And I wasn't his arc. You said you'd give me a week, he said, not turning. I gave you 10 years. That silence stretched. Finally, he faced me. You're really doing this? I already did. He looked around the room like it might fight for him. It didn't. I should have seen it coming. You did. He flinched just slightly. We built this together. No. I repaired it when it cracked. Quietly. With my own account. His gaze shifted to the far corner of the kitchen ceiling. The place where, years ago, the leak had started. He opened his mouth. Closed it. You kept the receipt. You taught me to. We stood in stillness. There were no accusations left. No pleas. Just accounting. Are you happy now? He asked. No. I walked past him, picked up the folder he left on the table. His lawyer's attempt at mediation. Unread. Unimportant. I left it there. Was I that unbearable? He said. No. Then why? I paused at the elevator. My hand on the call button. Then. Because I begged you to see me, and you applauded instead. Think if so canto. He blinked. You were silent for years. I was waiting for you to read the terms. Ding. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. Turned around. Looked at him once, not out of nostalgia. Just witness. Goodbye, Julian. This doesn't have to be war. It never was. Then what was it? The doors began to close. And I said it quietly, finally, exactly. Now I speak in signatures, not sentences. The doors sealed. And I descended. Back at Maya's place, I watched the skyline change color. She handed me a glass of wine without saying anything. I nodded once. No tears. No high five. No montage music. Just space. Later that week. A press release from Car Studio. Statement from Kendra Royce. Silence is not absence. It's observation. I do not offer commentary. I provide consequence. I believe in quiet reform, not reactive rage. My time in the background was not wasted, it was documented. And now, it is executed. Creating. Signed, Kendra Royce, Chairwoman, Car Studio. I kept waiting for her to say something. She never yelled. She never stormed. She filed. And when I finally listened, it was too late because she wasn't speaking anymore. She was signing. Final #campaign launches. Maya drops the trilogy post. 1. He made her the joke. She made herself the owner. 2. She didn't yell. She filed. 3. Now she speaks in signatures, not sentences. Women everywhere repost the quote. On t-shirts. On coffee mugs. On prenups. Some tattoo it along their ribs. Others frame it in gold. Everywhere one phrase echoes. Now I speak in signatures, not sentences.